Hey guys, and welcome to or back to the Paws in Pursuit podcast with your host, Summer Clark. So today I'm going to be talking to Megan Hunt as she answers all your questions that I posted on Instagram a few days ago, all about agility dog fitness. We covered topics such as conditioning, how to keep our agility dogs fit in between agility, stuff like physio. Obviously, Megan is a physio student. She's studying vet physio at uni, and she also does people as well, so that's super interesting. So without further ado, let's get straight into the conversation. For those who don't know who you are, do you want to just introduce yourself, what you do, what you study, stuff like that?
Okay, I'm Megan. I am doing a master's degree in veterinary physiotherapy for dogs and horses. I compete in agility, have done since I was 4, I think my first competition was. Yeah. Long time.
That is a very long time.
Yeah.
Right, so we've got 16 questions that everyone wanted to know. So the first one is, how do you build your agility dog's stamina/endurance?
So it's going to sound, obvious when you hear it, but just, I think taking your dogs out on a walk.
Yes.
Letting them have sprints if they're in a pack or if they're on their own.
Mm-hmm.
You can do loads with them just out on a walk. Just normal sniffing about in the woods. They're jumping over logs and whatever else they're doing, splashing about in water. Bit of free hydrotherapy.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. So obviously you can build it with agility, doing agility itself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, building stamina, it comes over time. Obviously, you can put in a bit more effort if your dog's lazy out on a walk.
True.
But I think, with most of my dogs, they're lunatics anyway. So they end up building their own stamina and endurance just from training and out on walks.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Arrow gets most of his exercise just running around the field when I take him on a walk. If he didn't have that, he'd probably be really unfit. So it makes sense. But another thing...
So Time, my competing dog, she, when she was younger, was a lunatic on a walk. You'd never see her. And now as she's got a bit older, she's glued to my leg. She doesn't do anything. We're constantly you're not going to be fit. Run around.
Yeah.
She needs a bit more effort.
Another thing I do with Arrow, but I'm assuming this is more speed and power, is on a walk, I'll just leave him in a wait, run off, and then release him, and he'll sprint after his ball from a standstill. Yeah. So is that's more speed and power, isn't it, really, than stamina, I suppose? But
yeah, that's a bit more acceleration work. Yeah. That would be endurance. But I mean, you look at, I don't know, we'll say pet dog in quotation marks.
I know what you mean.
They go out on a walk, but I know my boyfriend's dog wouldn't be able to do some of the walks that my dogs could do and be barely get back. His dog would be dead.
Yeah. Well, my terriers can't do it now. They can't keep up with Arrow, no way.
No chance. So, I think they build a natural endurance and from working anyway.
Quite a simple solution there then, hopefully. So, number 2 is, how do you prevent injury in an agility dog? It's quite a difficult one, I reckon.
That's a bit of a broad one, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Because they can hurt themselves, like you said, just on a walk or something anyway, couldn't they? It's not necessarily in agility, and often it's not, I feel.
All of my dogs, bar one, all of their injuries have been normal day-to-day stuff. We've only had one dog who fractured his outer toe somewhere on the course. We don't know where, but it happened, I think, as he took a jump and turned. All of the other ones have all been out on a walk, run into a tree, stupid things like that.
Yeah, same with Arrow.
Preventing an injury. I mean, obviously making sure your dogs are fit. So it's back to the first question. Mm-hmm. If you haven't done agility with your dog over COVID, so mine had 2 years out because she had a normal injury after, you're not just going to go put them back straight up to full height, doing a 20 obstacle course, training and going on 2-hour training day.
Yes, true.
That's obviously going to cause injury.
Yeah.
So it's making sure you build it up. Mm-hmm. It's a sport for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're athletes. So you're not going to, even an elite athlete that's a human, they haven't done anything in 3 years and they go out and do a sprint, they're going to hurt themselves probably.
Yeah, definitely.
So making sure they're warmed up before you work them.
Yes, yeah. I think I have a few questions on warm-ups as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was I know they're coming, so I don't want to overlap too much. But warming them up before they run, cooling them off when they finish, before you shove them in the van or the car.
Yes, true. Because I see a lot of people just get their dogs straight out, do it, and then put them back. And it makes me cringe a little bit because I'm like, they must be all like stiff and horrible.
I know, and then they wonder why they're not winning.
Yeah. They wonder why the dog's really slow and groggy.
Yeah. Imagine you just whopping up out of bed in the morning, just going straight out on a jog. I mean, some people
I'd
do
hurt
it,
myself.
to be fair, but crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Okay, so why is physio important for agility dogs, in your opinion? So obviously this is what you're studying and stuff, so...
Yeah. I'm going to add emphasis on that, in my opinion.
Yes.
Because obviously everyone's is different.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously I think physio has been relatively a new thing in the sense of 10 years or so, 15 years for maintenance and agility dogs and competition sporting dogs. Because obviously it was main purposes with vets and rehab stuff. But I think with maintenance, I've learned with my own dog that I'll put my hands up. When I was younger, she didn't have physio until she had an injury.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until I learned properly what it did and how it works and why it's useful that I started to then get regular checkups.
Yeah. Same with Ethel. Like, it took thinking, oh, she's walking strange, to actually go and start getting her done, and then I started doing it regularly, and I was like, oh, I probably should have been doing this for longer.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think physio is just for injury, but actually, back to the last question, preventing injury, I suppose. Having regular checkups is important. They could have a slight niggle that's not even bothering them at the moment, but if you leave it 6 months later, that could then become an injury.
Yes, no, yeah, that's true. Yeah, noticing things straight away pretty much as well.
Yeah, exactly. So you're not always going to notice. I know with time, she's a dog that would try and not be lame if only she had two legs.
Yeah.
She would hide, mask, anything possible. So I think a lot of dogs are like that. So having physio will know.
Yeah.
If there's anything that the dog's not showing.
Yeah.
So I think it is important in that sense. I'm not saying everyone has to get it done because sometimes money constraints, you can't.
Yes, true.
Can't afford it. But if you can, I think it's a valuable resource and thing to go to, noticing differences, like even subtle differences of building muscle. You don't see it day to day.
Yes, that's true.
But even
as far as like the cost goes, like how regularly, I don't know if this is a question, but it just popped in my head. How regularly would you say to get it done? Because I get arrow done about every 2 months. I know some people do it every month, but if you can't really afford it, could you do it like maybe 3 times a year and it'd be better than nothing? Or does it sort of have to be more regularly to actually work? Or
I'd definitely say so. So I knew this question would come up, but so when I had time and she was in like full competition, like throughout the season, I would take her every 4 to 6 weeks. But that's because she always gets a tight spot in her back, and we tried to extend our time of having physio to know when this tight spot was then apparent again.
Oh, okay.
So roughly when I knew that she would be getting tight so that it never did.
Okay.
But that's just something specific, and I had the means to be able to do it. I'd say if you can't afford it regularly throughout the year, just even like a pre-season checkup and a post-season checkup. So it's hard to have a proper winter break now because obviously we have like crafts and and everything in the middle. But most dogs will have a period of a break, normally over winterish. So even if you just have it at the end of your competing part, have a post-season checkup, they have 4 or 5 weeks off, get them again for a pre-season checkup, and then if you feel like in the middle of the season, I've got money, I'll go take them for a checkup, then do.
I often think that all the important stuff should be like nearer the end of the season, so we can like warm up and get ready for it and train for it and then have it, because it coming like you have your winter break and then it's crufts. So that's quite difficult, but
it's not like it used to be. You had to have like proper season was like May till September, and then you'd have the rest off.
And people want to be training like constantly through the winter, like make the most, so they're like ahead of everyone when they come back, so it's tricky.
But I'd say 2-3 times a year would be more beneficial than never. So that kind of takes away the cost element slightly, if that's people's sort of reasons not to get it done, I suppose. Because you can always put some money aside, even if it's like £10 a month.
No, that's it. It's worth
every
it.
4 months.
Do your dogs get a winter break then?
Yes, they do. Especially if I'm not competing at Olympia or Crofts or anything, she'll have like most of December, bit of January off.
Do you find they come back better after it? Because I've noticed after a little break, Arrow, you know, he often comes back more enthusiastic and sort of, and Ethel was the same, like faster almost.
Yeah, they're almost kind of like chomping at the bit to do it again. So it's hard to say with time, because I only worked out the other week. She's actually only had like 3.5 seasons in the ring.
Oh, really?
And she's 8. But it's
wow.
because she had like 2.5 years off.
Yeah, no, that's
so
true.
She had COVID off, and then she had an injury, so she had the next season completely off.
Oh, okay.
And she came back and had like a couple of months, and then I've been at uni, and I do part-time, so I go at the weekends. So I did compete, so I was just doing like the odd bit of training and stuff, keeping her going and working on bits and bobs at home.
Yeah.
I'm lucky to have my own stuff, but
yes, true.
yeah, she actually didn't come back. So then when I put her back in the ring, she was like mental, and I couldn't even work her because my timing was so out because she was off the rounds.
It's hard to know whether it's mental or physical, like that rest does good for them, but maybe a bit of both, I suppose.
I'd say a bit of both. It's like you always have to have a rest day. If you go to the gym, you can't go every day forever. You're going to get tired.
Yeah, probably going to hurt yourself. Again, back to the other question. Does being away at uni like make it harder to sort of keep up your, you know, training, like conditioning and stuff for your dogs?
100%. Yeah. Like my poor little Wicked, she's 2 next month. She's been really neglected with her training. Oh. She's not nearly weaving. I haven't done contacts yet. I just haven't had the time.
Yeah.
But I haven't minded too much. Like I did all of her foundation stuff, and then I was getting time back ready from injury and bringing her back, and obviously wanted to do champs and GB tryouts and stuff. So I gave Wicked about 3 months off, really.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I just let her sort of grow.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot about, isn't there, about, you know, doing too much too soon anyway. So I feel like it's better to be sort of a bit behind, in quotation marks, than rushing it at this point. So
yeah, definitely.
Can't be a bad thing.
It helped her mentally. She's very much a puppy in her brain still.
Yes,
she thinks she's only 8 weeks.
It overwhelms them as well, doesn't it, if you do too much too soon?
Yeah, it did her the world of good, personally. But then, obviously, with time, she was out at 18 months doing everything. So
yeah, it's individual, isn't it?
Very much different for dogs, I think.
Yeah, same with Ethel and Arrow, big difference. But, again, mostly to do with their, you know, headspace more than their physical abilities, but... Right, so, where am I? How often do you... Oh, we already did this. How often do you recommend agility dogs receive physio? So, if we put costs aside, if it was free, for example, how often would you say...
If you got a cheeky little sponsorship.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
If cost wasn't an element, I personally would do 4 to 6 weeks. 8 weeks, I think, is fine. It is very dog dependent, so time... I think, we went between 4 to 6, depending on how much she was doing. If she had a winter break, then I'd probably only go once over my whole winter break, and then do her again coming back into competition, back to training, making sure that she's still doing all right. So, if the cost wasn't ever a thing, time wasn't a thing, and you could go whenever you wanted at your own leisure, I'd probably say 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
8 if your dog... I'm not saying for younger dogs that they don't need to go as much, but they don't tend to, hopefully, be having much, I don't know what the word is, not as many restraints on their body. So obviously as you go up the grades, the courses get harder, the dogs are having to put a lot more strain through their body. So obviously you've got a really good dog and they're 3 years old, they're already at grade 7, time was, so she was putting all that through her body.
Yes.
They're a lot younger, so... hopefully more fit.
Yes, that is very true. Cool. So, are there different levels? I found this question quite hard to understand, but I think I get it. So, are there different levels of physiotherapy, e.g., short or longer sessions, light or deep massage, and maintenance versus treatment? So, I suppose the different kinds of things people want out of it, if that makes sense. So you're not just going saying, I want physio for my dog. You're like the goals for different dogs. I think that's how I took it. Yeah.
So obviously maintenance versus treatment. If you've got a dog that needs treatment for something specific that the vet has said you need to go to physio for, we have to follow a vet's guidelines.
Okay.
Obviously we will liaise with the vet and we'll do what we feel necessary as long as the vet has consented it.
Mm-hmm.
So a treatment session you can have on a maintenance case. So, I don't know, you go and your dog's got a sore back, you can laser it. So that's classed as a treatment, but it's for the purpose of maintenance.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. That makes sense.
So, yeah, you can have an injury and you're rehabbing from an injury or a surgery or anything. It doesn't have to be an agility dog.
Yeah.
You're rehabbing from something. So obviously all your sessions are going to be treatment sessions because they've got a main goal at the end and it's to rehab or get back to function and fitness.
Cool.
If you've got a dog, like a normal agility dog that's just going to physio for maintenance purposes, you're then going, so you may have some treatment elements within your sessions, using massage, using laser, pulse mag, whatever. So they're classed as treatments, but it's for a maintenance purpose.
So kind of all physio is kind of maintenance, I suppose, because you're doing it for a prolonged period of time, kind of?
Yeah, I suppose so. So a dog can have a surgery, like a TPLO surgery for cruciate, come in, will have physio sessions to rehab it. That person may choose never to come back.
Yes,
but
true.
It's been treated and it's fully back to function, so they may not deem necessary to come back. Whereas I think most agility dogs will come just for maintenance purposes of they're tight, loosen them off. They've pulled a muscle here, let's sort that out, la la la.
Yeah.
But obviously if it turns into something a bit more sinister, we have to go not touching it, go back to the vet and then come back to me.
Yeah, that's true. And I suppose it depends on whether what problem the dog has as to whether it's a short or long session. So I suppose again it's like massage probably takes a certain time, laser takes a different time, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think a lot of physios, so you'll have like your consultation session is normally longer and then you'll have your like regular sessions of coming back that are normally a bit shorter than your first one.
Oh, okay.
I think quite a few physios, so you'll have like 45 minutes or an hour for your slot and you'll do whatever you deem necessary within that. Some people offer just like laser appointments.
Okay.
Especially for like rehab cases, more so in horses, I think it happens. If you have like their Hox lasers and stuff.
Yeah.
That can happen with dogs and they just offer a laser session. So they don't have to pay for the full physio session if they're just on like a laser program.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But,
and then someone put light versus deep massage as part of that question, which obviously I don't really understand how massage works, but does that make sense to you, light versus deep?
In a sense, yes, but you won't be able to demand that in a session.
No, yeah.
They kind of blend into one. So obviously you always start with a lighter massage to warm up the muscles. And then if you feel you need to go deeper, then you will. It's hard to just go, oh, I'm only applying light massage and I'm not going to go into any deep massage. Or, it's massage. You can go lighter and deeper. And there is two different techniques of different pressures, but it's not going to be something that I'll go to a physio session and say and demand I want deep massage. Or it's just whatever you feel you need as you're doing it.
I suppose if you get someone coming to you with an agility dog that has no problems, it's just like generally for maintenance, that might be lighter, for example, than if you're trying to treat something, or like, because Ethel had a issue with her quad, so every time she'd go to physio, she'd have to release her quad. So she worked specifically on like releasing her quad, and it looked quite sort of like that deep sort of pressure she was putting on it, which she didn't sort of do to the rest of her body. Is that sort of maybe what it's like?
Yeah, so obviously as you say you have a tight muscle, you'll start off with light, I'm not going to go for it all, but you'll start off with light massage and can get deeper because as you're warming up the tissues, they're releasing off. So it allows you to go deeper. It's not like you're forcing it to go deeper. It's as you're working through it, you're releasing it off. So it just lets you go deeper.
Oh, okay. It's sort of a natural thing then, instead of you thinking, right, I'm going to go for this one.
So it's not like, oh, this one definitely needs deep massage. It's just as you're going through, it probably looked like she was putting more pressure on because you needed it. Then it's not that she can't get as deep on the quad than she can anywhere else. It's just it allows it a bit more easier because it's not tight.
Yeah, I suppose she's warmed it up with the light massage and then... Yeah, that makes sense.
Working through it.
Yeah, cool. So Do dogs have to rest leading up to a physio appointment, and if so, for how long? So this is quite interesting because Ethel's physio said that she had to so if her session was at like lunchtime, she'd have to have no exercise in the morning leading up to that. Is that something that you also recommend?
So obviously I'll reiterate everything's opinion based
absolutely,
here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say so, no.
Okay.
With all of my dogs that have had physio, they can go out for a walk in the morning and then go to a session. Or, I mean, if they're going to go, I think if they've even done like a training session in the morning and then they've been physioed that evening.
Okay.
Physio and the work that you do with it is to help release and everything like that. So it's not in the sense of they can't work or do anything and then go and have physio. Like if you went to the gym in the morning and some do a massage in the afternoon, you're not going to say no.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. It might be better, actually.
Yeah. So when you go to the gym, you're going to stretch off after and you'll have a hot shower that night and to help soothe the muscles. So I think it's going to be the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. And then, like, on the other side of that is how long after receiving physio can dogs resume their normal activity? So, again, do you sort of prescribe dogs you treat rest after the physio? Again, for Ethel's physio, she used to say give it a day. So the day after her massage would be a rest day. You know, don't let her run around or do agility or anything like that.
So I think it's different for everyone. It's a sense of normal activity. I'd say a normal dog, so not any work. So when my dogs have physio that day, so say they have physio in the morning, they will go out for a walk that day. But if they're a nutter, I'll put them on the lead.
Oh, okay.
Make sure pulling around or tearing off, turning or barging around or whatever.
Yeah.
So they'll go on the lead for that day and they'll resume normal walks the following day. I'd probably leave about 48 hours before I work them again.
Okay.
So as in the sense of agility.
Yes.
Pliable or whatever work you do. So normal activity in the sense of a normal dog, I'd say fine about 24 hours after. It's not that they can't go out for a walk or whatever else. If I just take time out on her own, I'm not going to put her on the lead. She doesn't do anything.
Okay,
she can go out for a walk.
Hurt herself,
Yeah, she trots off and has a sniff. All loosening her off, it doesn't matter. If it's wicked, she goes on the lead. She tears around like an idiot.
That would be Arrow.
Yeah. So she'll go on the lead that day. The next day, she can go off, be fine, potter around, whatever.
Yeah, okay.
The day after that, I would, if I feel I want to, I can do some work.
Yeah, okay. Is that to do with sort of the muscles being sort of loose and released after massage? Like, what's sort of the reasoning behind giving that rest? Are they're more prone to injury after it?
I wouldn't say it's that they're more prone to injury, but if you think of what we do in massage and physio in the sense of going into the tissues, releasing of tissues, we're causing inflammation in that.
Yes, yeah.
So you often, like when you come back away from physio, when you first go, they'll say you might feel some heat there. They might seem quite lethargic. They may drink more water. The following day, they might seem not stiff, but they could be sore. It's not to say that all dogs will be and all dogs won't. It's they could be. So as a precautionary, it's don't do anything because we've gone and worked on their bodies. It's not like they've gone. If you work a dog, however many times you train in the week, you're not going to train every day. You're not going to go to the gym every day. You need rest days because your muscles are sore from mechanical loading. But we've caused near enough the same thing.
Yeah, true.
We're causing heat and inflammation in there.
Yeah.
I know that sounds bad, but it does
in a good way,
bad.
Good heat and inflammation.
They need to rest. If you go for a massage, you feel sleepy after.
Yeah. And they can't tell us either, can they? Like, they can't tell us whether they're sore or not. So I suppose we need to kind of assume that they probably are, and just in case, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's the main thing. So I forgot to say at the beginning, I'm a sports therapist for humans.
Oh, okay.
So when I have people in for sports massage, they say, can I go to the gym tomorrow? And I say, it's completely up to you. You're probably going to be sore, so you might not want to.
Yeah.
Have a nice hot shower and chill out.
Yeah.
They all go, I went to get up, I was really sore. that I didn't go to the gym. I left it a couple of days and then went back. But us as people, we can decide what we want to do.
Yeah.
If we're in pain, we're not going to do anything. But most of our dogs, apart from the little stubborn ones, if you ask them to do something, they're going to do it.
Even if they are in pain, I suppose.
Yeah. Like with time, she'll mask anything.
Yeah.
She's sore, she's in pain. She's going to make the effort to do it.
Yeah, bless her.
Yeah.
They just want to please us, don't they?
Yeah, so it's just a precaution, really. They're probably going to be sore and a bit sleepy.
Cool. So, this one is about warming up. So, how long before your run should you warm your dog up, and how should you warm your dog up?
So, opinion-based as well.
Absolutely. I think all of them pretty much are, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I've always warmed them up about 20 minutes, half an hour before I know I'm going to run.
Mm-hmm.
You can use techniques of massaging, etc., etc. A lot of people do, but a warm-up can also be take them out into the exercise area, letting them go and sniff and have a wee and a poo if they need to. Start letting them trot around, start playing with your toy, start jogging around with them like you would with a person.
Yeah.
It'd be like a general warm-up. I don't know, when you were in PE, you're not all there massaging yourself.
No.
Like, there's other ways. So obviously, because I know what I'm doing, I will use some massage techniques in the area that I know time gets tight or whatever else. Make sure that they're nice and warmed up, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
It's getting the muscles and the tissues warm. You can do that taking them on a little walk before they go.
Yeah.
Jogging around in circles with them, getting them doing tricks and playing with the toy. Once they're warmed up, getting them to sit in a weight, release, sprint to the toy, getting them using their muscles properly like they would do in the ring.
Often I found the warm-up actually gets them more, like, mentally warmed up as well, if that makes sense. Like, it's part of it is getting them to focus as well. So it's all, like, little tricks and stuff like that, like you said.
Yeah, using their brains, focusing and waking them up. It's like you're not going to drag yourself out of bed and be wandering to the ring going, oh, where am I going?
Yeah, you'll never know,
probably get much sense out of them. So, yeah, just getting them up, taking them for a wee, a poo. You don't see it as much anymore with the amount of dogs that used to toilet in the ring, and you think, well, I am taking them out.
They've definitely just got out the car. I'm too paranoid for that.
Playing with your toy, jogging around in circles, both directions, bit of sprint work, and then you can take them to the ring and let them chill out for a bit. Just keep them walking. You'll see often around a champ ring, everyone's just strutting their dogs up and down in circles. It's just they've warmed them up. They're just keeping them moving. Yeah,
I was going to say so if you warm the dog up, like, say, half an hour before you run, can your dog then just sit there in the queue for, like, 10 minutes, or do you need to keep that going so they don't, like, stiffen back up? Or how long does it sort of take them to cool down again, if that makes sense, if you were to stop?
I think, obviously, I warm my dog up half an hour, 20 minutes before I run. That can take about 10, 15 minutes. By the time she's wandered around, had a pee, had a poo, and then warmed her up, and I'm like, right, I'm ready to go to the ring. So I'll be around the ring. You can obviously queue, they're fine, but you can still do tricks and everything whilst they're in the queue, or you can say, can you hold my space, or get someone to queue. And I normally just walk up and down, just keep her trotting, walking in circles, just keeping her moving. It's not that they will stiffen up in 10 minutes. They won't. They'll be okay.
Yeah.
But if it's outside or in a winter show and it's freezing cold, just put their coat back on them, put their jumper back on, keep the tissues warm. That's what it's more about. And then even if, I don't know, there's 12 dogs in the queue and I've joined at 12, I maybe then will leave her alone until 3-4 dogs before I go in. And get her attention back, start getting her doing tricks.
Yeah, that's why it's good to have a groom as well. Like, when my mum's there with me, I'll ask my mum to stand in the queue where I was and then go off and just walk him around a little bit and stuff like that. So that's kind of helpful there.
Yeah. It is easier, but obviously you can't do it on your own.
Oh, yeah,
You've got behind you and be like, I'm just in front of you, I'm just going to pop over there, warm them up a little bit, and they're normally fine with it.
Yeah, that's it.
I've always had to do that with time because she's reactive, so she's fine to queue, but especially when she was younger, I was much happier to go and buy a trade stand or behind one.
Oh, bless her.
Get her out the way.
Another thing I've heard is, like, not massage, but, like, sort of just rubbing up and down, like, the legs and over the back and stuff like that to get the blood flowing. And that's not obviously massage, but it is sort of, you know, getting the blood flowing. Is that something you do, you know, like just stimulating everything?
Yeah, so it's not that it's not massage, because obviously I won't go into all of it, but massage technically is stroking mechanics.
Yeah, true.
That's
yeah.
pretty much what it is. So yeah, with time, I'll make sure I go over like her muscles along the back of her spine. That's where she gets quite tight in there. Just making sure I can go over. I can feel some heat in there. They're getting warm. Over her back legs and her shoulders. Even you're just stimulating it. You're making sure the tissues are warm. If you go and rub your arm when you're cold, that's how you warm up.
Yeah,
so I will do that as well when she gets out, and then I'll go and warm her up, do it a bit more, and keep moving. But the most important main thing is getting them moving.
Yeah, I suppose you can
be the best way to warm up their tissues.
Yeah, I suppose you can feel the muscles go a little bit softer as well. Do you get what I mean when you're sort of rubbing over them and stuff like that? So
yeah.
Cool. Right. So the next one is cool down. So do you have to cool your dog down as soon as you leave the ring, and how should you cool your dog down?
So I'll always cool her down before I put her back in the van or vehicle or whatever you're putting them in, caravan. It's not you necessarily have to do it as soon as you leave the ring, but before you go and put them in a cage, you have cooled down first.
Yeah.
So cool down, a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but some people might think it's until they stop panting. It's not that. Dogs don't pant when it's hot.
No,
So it's just making sure you're cooling those tissues down. They've gone round a 17 to 20 obstacle course. They've had to do a lot more work than what we have.
Yes, definitely.
So when they come out, their tissues are all fired up. They've been contracting here, there and everywhere. If you just go and shove your dog back in the van and go, oh, it's done now, it's going to get all stiff and tight. The muscles are so, they're so full of adrenaline. They need to mentally cool down as well.
Yes, true.
So it's the same of, if you've got a 10-minute walk back to your car because you're parked
KCI
3 miles away, that walk where they're nice and cool, relaxed, walking back to the vehicle, stop, let them have a sniff and a wee. For a lot of dogs, if they've just done 30-second run, I'm not saying that's not enough, because it could be if you're 10-minute walk away.
Yeah, true.
That's quite a long, nice walk to stretch off. It's just allowing them to stretch off and calm back down. Let their muscles stop firing like they were before. So I'll normally walk her back through the exercise area, let her off, let her go and have a sniff. They'll stretch themselves off. Give her a drink and then pop her back.
Because often I'll come out the ring, get Arrow, and then someone will come, this has happened before, where someone comes to talk to me, about the run or whatever, and then we're talking for 10, 15 minutes, and then I'm like, oh, Arrow's just been stood here for 10 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Is that, and then I'd cool him down, obviously, before I put him back away. Does that matter? Is that 10, 15 minutes of just standing there after the run? Is that all right?
If you come out of the gym and you're going to stand there for a little while, you might be chatting to someone before you go. It's fine. You may feel, I don't know if you've done leg day, you've got jelly legs, but they're not working to that sort of extent where you're putting all that force and load on. So standing there, ball in their mouth or turning around and watching the ring or whatever is fine. Just make sure you're allowing them to stretch off before you're constraining them to a cage.
Yeah, so as long as it's before you put them away, then it's not too serious as to when.
Yeah, if you're out for 20 minutes, wandering around the rings, having a little look, watching friends run after you've run, you can go and put them back. They've been walking around the ring. It's just allowing them the ability to stretch off naturally before go and lay down in a cage.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be this strict regimental thing. As long as they're moving, then it's fine.
Yeah, some people will. Yeah. So some people were like, I've just come out the ring, let me deal with my dog.
Yeah.
Which is
fair
great.
Enough, yeah.
That's fine. But sometimes it's fine to come out of the ring and you're like, oh, I'm going to go watch my mum run. So you're going to wander off to ring whatever, watch them run, and then you're going to wander back to the van, let them have a wee, whatever else. It's just, as long as you're not just literally getting them out of the van, putting them in the ring, and putting them straight back in the van.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, why are warm-ups and cool-downs important for agility dogs, in your opinion? So just rounding off those questions, I suppose.
Warming up the tissues. If you've imagined that you've got a cold, brittle elastic band that you've just found in your garden, it's been left out there all winter, it goes really stiff.
Yeah.
And then you put it and it just snaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're like, oh, it's an elastic band. Why is it just snapped?
Yeah.
That, like, think of that as your muscles, your tendons and your ligaments in your dog's leg.
That's a really good analogy, actually, yeah.
Yeah, whereas if you bring that elastic band that's been frozen, you bring it indoors, you let it warm up, it then goes back to stretchy. Yeah. That's the same thing with a dog, roughly, obviously.
Pretty much.
Obviously, I'm not saying they're cold sitting in the van.
Yeah.
But they're not active. They're not warmed up in the sense of they're ready to go. They're firing. Yeah. They've just got out of the vehicle, and you're going to go make them run around, jump and twist and do the dog walk A-frame, the weaves. And that elastic band is only starting to warm up at obstacle 12.
Yes, yeah.
So
true.
Between obstacle 1 and 12, it could snap or tear or stretch, and they go, oh, it's not ready to stretch yet. You're forcing it. You go and warm it up. They'll be nice and stretchy, ready to go. And with cooling down, is you want that cool down to be gradual. You want them to go and stretch off. If they've just been running around and they've been jumping this, that and the other, their muscles are pumping full of blood. And then you go and lay down now. And stay there and don't move. They end up becoming stiff.
Yeah. Is that kind of like, because you're hearing humans, like a build-up of lactic acid, is it? So the lactic acid sort of builds up while they're doing the exercise, and then you need to sort of cool it out, like cool it off afterwards. Is that kind of something to do with it?
Lactic acid, it's like a stitch as such. So I can't say whether a dog can feel a stitch or not.
Yeah.
But so they'll have a build-up of all products and everything within their system as they're going through their aerobic, anaerobic exercises. So when they come out the ring, they need to cool all of that off. They need to let the adrenaline cool down. Well, not cool down, but
calm
ease
down.
off.
Yeah.
They need to calm down themselves. Their muscles are like ready. They're pumping, they're firing, waiting, like, where are we going? Where are we going? What are we doing? When actually you just want them to switch off, relax. Otherwise, they'll just kind of not get stuck in contraction, but they're constantly firing, and you don't want that when they're just still and laying there, because then they're going to just lay there and they're still doing that.
Yeah, no, that's true. And then when you get them out for obviously they have like 4 runs in a day. When you then get them out for their next run, they've gone all stiff because you didn't cool them down from the last one. So I suppose it could be harder to warm them up again or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a vicious circle. There's no point warming up if you're not going to cool down. Yeah. There's no point. Well, I'm not saying there's no point cooling down, but they
go
come
hand in hand. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So where am I? What kind of exercises do you recommend for improving an agility dog's fitness, e.g. speed, power, strength, flexibility, etc.?
So I don't know. This isn't obviously going to be specific to agility dogs. I think it's just in general.
Yeah.
But as you say, like when you're out on a walk, making them wait, sprinting after the ball, just doing like natural sprint work. They do it. I know a lot of collies do. Mine all do. They only have to stand there, and one moves, they all just shoot off.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Running off. It's getting them doing it in a natural life as well, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Endurance. Take them out on walks.
Yeah.
Agility dog. Agility shouldn't be their life.
Yeah,
they should
let them do normal things.
Yeah. Obviously you can do it whilst in training. You can have grids, you can do bounce grids, which are good for power in the hind end. You can increase the grid size so that you're making them stretch out, increasing their stride length. There's loads of things you can do. But I don't have time to say all of them.
True.
They are going to be specific to each dog.
Yeah. So when they said strength, so like we go to the gym and lift like progressively heavier weights to build muscle and stuff. So how would you do that with dogs? How would you build strength and sort of muscle with dogs? Because you can't obviously get them to lift weights.
No. So obviously it's opinion based. Conditioning exercises I see as like your sit to stands, your wobble cushions, your whatever, your ladder work, whatever you want to do. I do all of that when my puppies are younger. Not puppies, but like growing up, before they're just doing foundation work. They're growing. They haven't got masses of muscle yet.
Yeah.
More for like proprioception work, I think is really important, especially for agility dogs, knowing where their feet are. You have so many people say, oh, they've got no hind end awareness. Teach it then.
Yeah.
That's where all of your conditioning stuff comes in, and that may build muscle in the meantime for dogs that don't have a lot of muscle.
Mm-hmm.
But when you've already got a 3-4-year-old competing, so at a good level, doing sit to stands 3 times a week isn't going to do much when they're already at the level that they are.
Yes, no, that's true. Yeah. And
because you can't add weights. If you was to just do body weight squats, 10-12 reps 3 times a week, just body weight squats, after a certain time, it's not going to do anything.
No, yeah.
So,
but obviously you can't then put a weight on the dog's back, so...
Exactly. So we will then add weight, or you add resistance. You can't do that with an animal. It's cruel.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that doing conditioning exercises doesn't do anything. There's just not a lot of research, and also how can you progress it? You're not going to make a dog just add on 5 reps every week, because you'll be there at 45 reps.
Yeah. Yeah. And the dog's be like, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, exactly. So
but and you said about proprioception, so again, like, you can do that like on walks, can't you, like naturally like climbing onto like logs and walking through paths and stuff like that?
Literally, proprioception is anything to do with a stimulus and how the body receives it. So that can be going for a walk in the woods, walking on crunchy leaves, hopping over a log, walking through a stream, a river. They're all having to respond and adapt to what they're on.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Walking over a bridge, like they go, whoo, because they can see the floor. It can be anything. Proprioception work, you can specify it by doing conditioning exercises. So I put them on a wobble cushion or a wobble board. You want that balance and that core strength.
Yeah.
You can work on that, but actually building muscle mass on an already fit dog is quite difficult. If you've got a rehab case or a dog, I don't know, that's got a lot of atrophy from an injury, obviously you can target that muscle.
Yes, yeah.
Build muscle. But if you've already got a fit agility dog that's just going for maintenance, it's competing at a good level, it's fit, it's healthy, just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. And I suppose puppies, like, you take them, or not puppies like you said, but young dogs, you know, you take them on their walk and they do that anyway. You know, you don't have to like do a load of training, because you're not meant to train them that much when they're little, but they're actually already getting some sort of training, in quotation marks, just by going on walks and doing, you know, you're not forcing them to do anything, they're moving how it's comfortable, but they are kind of already doing some stuff. Yeah,
definitely. So it's even going from long grass to short grass.
Yeah.
Going from carpet to a laminate floor, if you've got laminate flooring. There's loads of stuff you can do without having to have specific exercises, without having to go out and buy conditioning equipment.
Yeah.
I'm not saying bad, I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong at all. If you do, like, that's great. I'm just saying that you don't have to do all of that stuff in order to get proprioception. You can have them in your body. You can walk them on the lead, getting them weaving in and out with your body. It's loads of stuff. Even your agility poles, getting them going over that. That's proprioception, and we do that anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So flexibility then, what kind of stuff would you do for flexibility? Because obviously, like, you know, tight turns, weaves, they have to be quite bendy. And my Ethel's physio, she said to do, like, I can't remember what they were called. It's something you do in horses where you get a treat on their nose and like bring it round to their bum, so they're like in a circle, and that's stretching like this part of them down here as they turn away from it. So stuff like that, like for flexibility.
A stretch.
Yeah.
Obviously, you'll probably know, because I know you go to the gym, stretching after, you're releasing all those muscles and not allowing them to get tight. You're realigning all the fibres and stretching off, which will then allow them to elongate so you can move more. So in the sense, yes, that increases flexibility. I think some dogs in agility, you'll go, oh, they can turn, look how beautiful and tight they can turn, how did you teach that?
Yeah.
I can teach dogs the exact same way to turn tightly, and one will and one won't.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's
true. Some dogs are not made to turn.
Yeah. Turn like tanks.
They turn like tanks, and it could be their mental capacity. They just don't want to slow down, and you've got to break that barrier, that force, and you can through training. It's not that they can't be flexible. It's more a training method of they don't want to turn.
Yeah,
or
true.
Weaves. You've got some big dogs. I teach a massive, what is she, like a boularond, I think she is.
Oh, wow, okay.
Like, she really struggles with weaves because she's so bloody big.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's not that she can't be flexible. She can turn lovely on a wing wrap.
Yeah.
But she can struggle with, because she's so big. She doesn't have, body doesn't give like a slinky collie.
Yeah, so it's just kind of how it is.
Yeah, it's not that you can't train it. So you can do, like, some people use like proprioceptive wrapping on the dog to allow them to be more aware of their body.
Yes, yeah.
There's loads of different training courses out there and methods of how you can get a tie to turn by getting them to physically stop before they take the jump.
Yeah.
So that they learn to slow down. Some dogs are rubbish at turning.
Yeah. Bless them.
It's luck of the draw.
Yeah.
If you're naturally good one, great.
True. Does being flexible and working on flexibility also prevent injury in some sense?
So it's a hard one, because you want a dog to be nice and bendy. You want them to be flexible. You want them to be able to do backside S lines, and you want them to be able to weave nice and quickly and be nice and bendy and turn tight, obviously, because that's how you get the quickest times in conjunction with speed. But at the same time, you don't want them to be too bendy.
Yeah, like, true.
They need a bit of bone. They need a bit of strength. They need that muscle. If you just have like a really slinky, bendy ruler and you're trying to measure something and it's not going to work. You want flexibility to a certain extent, but you don't want hyper flexibility.
Yeah, true.
Because then your joints are going to go past where they need to be. And yeah, they're nice and bendy and they can turn tight, but they've also got to take a lot of force through their body.
Yeah,
they're going to. Don't want them overextending. You don't hyperextending through the back. That can cause injury as well. So it's a very fine line.
Yeah, because you can get like double jointed people, can't you? Is that a thing you can get in dogs? I'm assuming it's the same thing, but I've never really seen a double jointed dog. But I know some people say that they are. I don't know if it's
classed as double jointed. You can say they're like hypermobile or hyperflexible. You'll see a lot of pictures of like slinky collies going over a jump and they're hyperextended through their back. They're actually armed the wrong way.
Wow.
Or you see a dog land and through their carpals, like their wrists, they're really hyperextended through there. Obviously, that can cause much injury as a dog.
Because you see some collies with like their wrist straps on. Is that something to do with that? Does that like prevent them from hyperextending their wrists?
I think a lot of them put like stopper pad straps on.
Oh, okay.
Especially for like Astro, they scuff their stopper pads.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, so it's more to do with the pads than the actual wrists.
Yeah.
So okay.
A lot of people wrap the stopper pads because when they're landing, they're scuffing the stopper pads.
Okay.
But yeah, people do use like wrist supports and carpal support dog and stuff. Yeah, that can be like you'd put an ankle strap on.
Yeah, true. Is that do the dogs actually have issues when you see that, or is it more just prevention? Some people like to, prevent issues, or do you reckon?
I think it's dependent. Some people, if they know that they've got like extending carpals in the dog, they can put straps on to maybe help prevent something.
Yeah, true.
Or if they've had an injury there, it's to support it like we would in ourselves. I think, people will use them if they want to.
Yeah, true. Each their own again. So, what kind of conditioning do you recommend for maintaining an agility dog's fitness? So, again, that's a separate question, but I suppose it'd be the same as the last question. So, conditioning. Yeah. So, sort of, for you, like, what could you define conditioning for you?
So, most people will have, like, conditioning exercises as your wobble cushions, your stacking blocks, all of your conditioning equipment that you'll see from, like, Toto Fit and Fit Paws.
Yeah.
Your sit to stand exercises, etc. That is your conditioning work.
Okay.
I'm not saying that doing it isn't going to help. There's just not a lot of research if it would for an already fit dog.
Okay, yeah. So again, it's kind of just like a way of maintaining the fitness.
Yeah, so obviously my youngster Wicked had really bad core strength and posture. I know she did, like she'd be all floppy when she sat and whatever, but they're puppies. Putting them on wobble cushion, and you can Google conditioning exercises if you want, and there's a lot of good resources out there on how to perform them and stuff.
Yeah.
Using wobble cushions for her hind end awareness. She's got long gangly legs.
Yes.
So I did all of that sort of stuff, but she's got hind end awareness now.
Yeah.
She knows where it is, and then my normal agility training is going to keep on top of that.
Yeah, true.
Time would get quite tight in like her hip flexors and stuff, so I knew that. So throughout competing, I'd maybe do some stretches, get her parking her back legs on a block and getting her to walk out so that she's stretching that out. So it's not that there's anything specific exercises like do those for agility dogs. It's going to be very dog dependent, and some may not need conditioning exercises all the time.
Yeah. And like with Arrow, he, like you said, he sits, and he always has done since a puppy. But when he sits, his back legs are like that, sort of splayed out. It's like a really floppy sit. So his physio has said to do sit to stands on like a board that is sort of the width of his body, and reward him for standing but keeping his legs in line with the rest of his body. So I suppose that's an example of a conditioning exercise that's you know specific for him because that's his problem.
100%. So that is his posture is poor when he sits. Let's improve that. There's not going to be a conditioning exercise like if you go out on agility course and I know they're bad at threadles, there's not going to be a conditioning exercise that's going to help with that.
No.
It's going to be your dog's natural posture. That's what conditioning's for.
And it's often, you notice these not problems, but these little things like how Arrow sits. You don't notice that during agility. You notice that just in day-to-day life anyway. So regardless as whether he did agility or not, that's still something that would be there and you'd be able to
I'm not saying that his sit posture is bad. You improve it with your conditioning exercise, and now he's got really good sit posture. That is not, it will or won't affect how he works in agility.
Yeah.
It could be that by doing that, he's improved his core strength and he knocks less poles.
Yeah.
They can go hand in hand, but it's not going to be doing sit to stands is going to help with this specific agility thing. It's going to be improving the dog's posture and natural abilities that's not related to agility, saying that it can't help it.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any specific conditioning exercises that I can say all agility dogs should do these conditioning exercises to help them with performance.
Yeah. So do you think, going off on a bit of a tangent, but it's interesting. So knocking poles then, because I know a lot of dogs have that, it's frustrating, knock poles. You can't really train them out of knocking poles. You said about core strength. Do you think dogs with poor core strength will knock more poles?
If you think, obviously I'm used to running a large dog, but for any dog, I'm not going to say maybe not so much in smalls, but you've got to think especially large dogs, not intermediate as much, but large dogs, they're jumping above their height. So like a normal collie that's in large, they've got to propel themselves like quite far up to get over the...
Yeah, true.
If I was going to do that, I know I can feel it in my abs.
Yeah.
But like,
100%.
What is it? A high jump or something? Where you
like sideways, yeah.
Yeah, I used to do that in school.
Oh, okay.
Like you can feel it in, like you need to be able to keep your body together. Yeah. That's the same with a dog. So it's not obviously just core strength. It can be anything. I'm not saying you can't train a dog out of knocking poles. I think there's many different ways, and I won't go into that because that's more dog training aspects. But I'll mark poles if I've got a pole knocker. Like pick your feet up.
Yeah.
But obviously everyone's going to be different, and that's a completely different aspect. But physio based, obviously if I'm going to make my dog nice and fit, I want a nice fit dog that's going to improve core posture, that's going to improve their flexibility, their muscle mass, their power, their everything that I would do naturally to build up to being able to jump full height for a 20 obstacle course.
Yeah. And again, it's probably more of a training thing, but Arrow did knock poles for a while, and Lucy, my trainer, said at home to set up a jump on small and just sit him right close to the pole, like as if he was going round the jump and then had to take off, because he was doing it on like either tight turns or round the back because he was knocking the poles. So just sit him like before he gets to the pole and have his ball on the wing and then say go. So he literally has to push off straight from that sit to actually go over it. And the first time I was doing it, he was knocking them all. But then obviously he got more used to it and thought, I've actually got to pick my feet up if I'm going to make it, because he didn't have that run up. So I suppose that's kind of a little conditioning thing, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. So it's that propulsion.
Yeah.
So they've got to, from their hind legs, push off and carry their whole body through to go over the jump, whether that's straight over or on a turn.
Yeah.
You see a lot of dogs, in order to come in and turn nice and tightly, they're decelling, they're getting right deep under the jump in order to come up.
Yeah.
So you think of the strain on their body and how much they have to use of their body in order to do that.
Yeah.
So it's the same. Yeah, obviously he's a young dog. He's not going to have the perfect everything, and he's not going to be in his absolute peak fitness.
Yeah, exactly.
They build up to that over time. So keep going, doing exercises like that. It's that propulsion work. So yeah, it's not, that's where I meant in the conditioning work, there's not going to be specific exercises that are related to agility. The best way for training agility is by doing agility.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And that's another thing, like some people say, dogs are in their peak when they're a bit younger, like 3, 4, whatever, because they're young and fit. But at the same time, I think, people kind of think that they'll slow down as they get older. But in a sense, do you think it's possible that they actually get fitter as they get older, maybe like 7, 8, because they've had more of these sort of conditioning things and just more experience doing agility, so their bodies have actually got better at doing agility as they've got older?
I 100% think that age, fitness and experience all come hand in hand. But I think most dogs are going to peak at like 5, 6, 7, or even 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
You'll see and go, oh my God, look at this dog, like it's an 8-year-old and it's beat a 2-year-old in champ.
Yeah.
They're so much more experienced at what they're doing. They're so much better at their jobs. They may not have the explosive speed that a 3-year-old's going to have and their complete energy, but they're so much more experienced with their bodies. They're going to know what they're doing so much more. You're going to ask them to turn. They know exactly their own stridings, their own patterns of how deep to go into a jump in order to take off to have the most effective landing and tight turn. A young dog isn't possibly going to have that.
Yeah. So that kind of takes away that thing where people are like, the feeling like you need to rush the training and stuff like that. If you've got till the dog's 6, 7, 8 to peak, then there is absolutely no rush, is there?
Most dogs will peak.
Yeah.
Like 6, 7, 8.
Yeah. That's interesting. But again, back to what you're saying about core strength, how I suppose it does make sense, because when the dog, he has to they have to keep all their sort of limbs kind of together, do you get what I mean? To not knock the pole. So to keep their feet up, they do kind of have to tense their core, I suppose.
100%. Yeah. It'd be the same of if you was going to... So obviously on a straight line, a dog should extend their hind legs. Yeah. But if you're going on a turn and stuff, they can extend, but a lot of them will tuck up over a turn.
Yeah.
If you are on a trampoline or even just standing there and you go to do a tuck jump and you had no core, like imagine you had no abs, that you physically cannot do.
You can't put your knees up, no, yeah, that's true. It's like the exercise that the gym people do where they sort of hang like that and then, like leg raises? So do you know what I mean? That's all core, isn't it?
Everyone goes, but that's moving the legs and the hips. It's not. It's
core, yeah.
Allow that.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
So this isn't on the questions, but what do you think, just quickly, about measuring? So some dogs measure, don't they? Or that's what people call it. So where they're running up to a jump and then they tuck up a little bit, add loads of little strides in, and then sort of bounce with their legs tucked. What do you think causes that, and how do you not get them to do that?
I think that's very different for all dogs. So my little old man now, dude, he only had 2 seasons in the ring, jumping at fine, started really badly measuring, ducking out of jumps, not going in them. He was weaving fine, doing the tunnels. He was happy in himself, but he was not jumping properly. And done that before. My first port of call was go to my physio.
Yeah, 100%.
Get him checked over, and he seemed fine.
Okay.
There was nothing wrong, and I was like, okay, maybe it's a confidence thing. Put the jumps back down, because he was always very nervous. Put the jumps back down, and he was still measuring, still ducking out. So I took him to the vet. They couldn't find anything wrong, and then our last port of call was to go and get his eyes checked. Maybe his eyesight's going, and he got really bad dry eye.
Oh wow, okay.
Irritated eyes, so maybe his vision was good.
Yeah, so he couldn't see when it was coming.
Yeah, so he stopped. I stopped with agility anyway. He did compete for a little bit and he was fine, because he'd have good days and bad days. If his eyes were feeling fine, his vision wasn't really affected. It was as he would keep getting ulcers, and then obviously that over time affected his vision.
Oh, okay. Oh, bless him.
You're not know that.
Yeah.
Until you goes. There's loads of different reasons. I've got a dog that I teach who just has a really poor jump action.
Yeah.
He's done loads of grid work, loads of maintenance work, and he has got so much better, but he would take off about 10 foot before the jump.
That was Ethel. She's always measured, but she had physio all the time, condition exercise like every day, and she still did it a little bit. Like, again, we improved it, but she was never going to jump like Arrow, for example, because she was built different. So
so there are some dogs that you're never going to stop from measuring. That's just what they do. But obviously you can help with jump technique and teaching them when to take off properly and actually teaching them to jump. I think a lot of people forget that.
So a lot of it's sort of a training issue.
Know how to jump.
Yeah.
Over an obstacle. Like, doesn't they're not born. They can go and jump over a log, obviously. Yeah. But when you put an obstacle in front of them and you expect them to do a course, they need to learn how to adjust their bodies.
I suppose agility is just unnatural for them movement wise anyway. Do you get what I mean? So it's up to us to train them to do it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
And like not just how to do the equipment, but how to do it sort of more efficiently and stuff like that.
Yeah, and properly and safely.
Yeah.
And,
safely is definitely a big one.
Yeah.
So what is your, this is different. What is your opinion on joint supplements? Are they effective and a worthwhile investment?
So I'm not a nutritionist, so I can't really comment too much.
Yeah.
But my opinion on them, I've got all of my dogs. I use Rioflex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Arrow's
so
on that.
Obviously, there's loads of different ones, and you can go out and do your research on what one you personally want to use. Mm-hmm. I've found from my own research that Rioflex is my go-to. Mm-hmm. So mine are all on the Rioflex HA Plus Green Lip Muscle. Mm-hmm. So that's what all of mine are on. Wicked, she will start next month, so I'm only starting her when she's 2.
Okay.
I don't know, it's just kind of like my personal preference. So when she was younger, she was really gangly, she had really long legs. She would walk a bit funny sometimes when she was tired, like her proprioception was a bit off. Mm-hmm. I actually did go and get all of her hind end and rear legs x-rayed because I was walking like that. I didn't think there was possibly anything wrong, but I was like, she's just really grown up really quite fast. Yeah. And she's really tall.
It's nice to know
she
as well.
She's really gangly, etc. I hadn't done too much proprioception work at that time. Mm-hmm. Took her to the vets, had her all x-rayed, and she was absolutely fine. I hadn't started her on joint supplements just because I think at that sort of age, they shouldn't be putting too much strain through their body.
Yeah, so joint need supplement.
I use as a preventative, and obviously in all of my older dogs, a couple of them have got arthritis, etc. And we found like a massive difference with them.
Yeah.
In how they are. So I think my personal opinion is I like to use them as preventatives throughout their life, and obviously it helps them when they're older with their joints and mobility and collagen and their muscles and all of their proteins. Like we do it for ourselves. We go and have a protein shake after we go to the gym.
Exactly.
We eat good foods. We have broccoli because it's got certain vitamins in it. We eat vegetables because it's good for us and gives us good vitamins and stuff. So I think it's no different for a dog.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I mean,
I do invest in them. Yeah, but I'm saying which one. I use Rioflex, but there's loads of other ones that you can go and do your own on.
Yeah, I mean, Arrow's only 3.5, and I have him on it. He started like a couple of months ago, and obviously I haven't really noticed a difference because he was fit and well anyway, if that makes sense. Like he didn't have a problem to sort of get better from because of it, but it's kind of for my own peace of mind as well, thinking I'm doing the best I can for him. As he gets older, I'm doing all the things to help him stay fit. So it's sort of more for that as well, knowing that I'm doing everything I can for him, even though we're putting all this pressure on their bodies and stuff. As long as we're doing everything we can to keep them sort of well, then that's all you can do, isn't it?
100%, yeah. So I would use joint supplements. I'm going to put Wicked on from 2 years old because now she's starting to actually compete and do things. Mm-hmm. But even Dude, I mean, he hasn't done agility now. He only had 2 years in the ring. So he retired at, 4 and a half. Mm-hmm. And he's still on joint supplements.
Yeah.
So you said, I wouldn't say just for agility dogs. Yeah. I would, all of ours are on it.
You said your older dogs, did you say 1 or 2 have arthritis?
Yeah.
Do you think agility dogs or ex-agility dogs are more likely to get arthritis when they're older than non-agility dogs or sporting dogs?
No, I wouldn't. There's like a new bit of research out. I can't remember who done it, but it's like there's a certain statistic of dogs over 8 years old are more prone to get arthritis. That's kind of common sense.
Yes.
They're getting older, etc. Some dogs from hereditary are more prone for like hip dysplasia as a form of arthritis. So some dogs are more prone to it than others.
Yeah.
Some dogs never suffer from it, and some will. You can have, same in people, you can have a man that lives a very sedentary lifestyle, works in an office, never does sport, never exercises, and could be riddled with arthritis when
maybe
he's
from
older.
not doing enough exercise.
Yeah. So there's not, I wouldn't say agility can cause more arthritis. One of mine has got it because he had his toe removed. Toe, so that has caused arthritis and it's spread up his leg.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he's just a bit old, very stiff, quite clicky.
Yeah.
So it's, I wouldn't say it's agility depending on whether they have or haven't done agility. I think it's nice to have, joint supplements for any dog if you can, but also for our working dogs, I think they're important.
Because as well, if dogs don't do enough movement, like the other way round, that they can get issues from that as well. Do you get what I mean? If they don't move enough, then they can get problems just as bad as doing a lot of movement. Do you get what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
Okay, so where am I? Keep losing where I am. Oh, so this one's more personal. So did you always know that you wanted to become a vet physio? All about you now.
Didn't. So all of my life, ever since I can ever remember, I wanted to be a vet.
Okay.
Like throughout most of school, I literally don't think it was until like year 10 I didn't want to be a vet. I wanted to be a vet. Like that was
okay.
I went and did like a 6-week work placement in my vets in year 10 over the summer.
Yeah.
We had to go out and do work placement and I just carried it on. And from that I was like, I don't want to do this.
No, yeah. How come? Was it sort of the sort of sad aspect of
I literally just think
animals?
like, like the every day-to-day stuff. Like I love dogs and I love horses. I don't particularly like cats.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not a fan of rabbits.
Yeah.
Someone brought in a reptile, that's not for me.
No, yeah.
Like, I just think, a rodent or something.
Yeah.
I just think for a
broad.
vet, it's very, you're like a GP.
Yeah.
Sense of, they have to know a bit about everything. And they are very good. But unless you specialise, you just know a bit about everything.
Yeah.
I just think, like, when speaking to my vet, who I was doing work experience with, I knew him very well. He was like, this is your day-to-day stuff. Like, it's admin, you've got consultations. That's pretty much it. You might have the odd surgery, spay and neutering and stuff. You get the odd exciting surgery that comes in. That sounds bad, but like an emergency surgery, like my dog's had to have one. Yeah. Rush it to the vet. He's like, that's an exciting day for everyone.
Oh no.
Like, otherwise, it's just sort of the same sort of stuff. And it's lovely. Obviously, they do amazing work. I'm not taking that away. Very good job. It just wasn't for me. I wanted to be a bit more involved, I think.
Yeah. And like for me, I'm only like I do best at things I'm like properly interested in as well. So I did canine behaviour at uni because that's literally what I'm interested in and what I want to do. Whereas if I did something really like broader that I wasn't interested in, I probably wouldn't do as well. So like vets, if we were to study vet medicine, for example, and did a topic on reptiles, just wouldn't really be bothered. So I probably wouldn't do very well.
I'll be like, oh.
Yeah.
So no, that just, it didn't put me off. I was just like, I'm going to look for something where I'm a bit more active and involved in stuff and where I do agility. I think, I wanted to be a physio because I didn't, as I said, like, I put my hands up. I didn't really know that they were like a thing for agility dogs.
No, I didn't when I started.
Time had an injury when she was like 3 or 4 years old. I trod on her foot by accident because she was on the lead. She ran across to chase a cat near my house. I trod on her foot and slipped off it and ended up degloving her foot. So like one of her toes, 1.5, like the skin had completely torn apart and like her bone was exposed. It was a real traumatic day.
Oh God.
I felt awful. It was horrible. She was rushed to the vets and I had 8 weeks until GB tryouts and 10 weeks until Olympia.
Oh God.
And I was like, oh my God. And she had to be on like crate rest for 4 weeks because the skin only just about went back together. And where it was over the toe and stuff, they're like, you need to be so careful.
Oh, wow.
So So I got in contact with a physio, and she was being like lasered and treated as much as possible, like a really progressed rehab, like getting her pushed back through, and she came back, and that was the junior year.
Okay.
And I got on that year, and I did well at Olympia and stuff. So
thank God.
From that, I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah. So it's kind of a blessing in a weird way. It made you figure out what you wanted to do.
Yeah,
even
definitely.
Though it was traumatic.
So I don't like just agility based, but it was more obviously rehab injury back into agility, seeing like my physio and how much she helped me, and obviously I stayed with her for ages until I moved. I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to do that.
Yeah, that's so cool. And then you do horses as well. Were you into horses like before dogs, or because I know a lot of doggy people like horse rode before they did agility, like I did when I was younger and stuff. Have you always enjoyed horses as well?
Yeah, so I still ride now. So I started riding when I was about 7.
Oh wow, okay.
And so I always rode and etc. And then obviously I was like, every Christmas, please Santa, can I have a pony?
Yeah.
I want to on a horse, like begging my mum all the time.
Yeah.
But obviously I was younger, and mum was going to dog shows, and she couldn't just leave me at home, so I had to come.
True.
And I've run everyone else's dogs in juniors and did that and the other, but I was like more into horses, I would say. And then my mum was like, well, you can either have more riding lessons or you can have a puppy.
Oh.
As an 11-year-old, I was like, I want a puppy.
Yeah, obviously.
So that was kind of like my deterrent to come back over.
Oh, okay.
It's never that I had one over the other, but I think if I wouldn't have got Dude, my old boy, and I didn't have my own dog, I think I would have turned probably more towards horses, just because so obviously I love dog shows, but going to a dog show just watching all the time is boring.
No. It's like Crufts. I hate going to Crufts and not competing. Now competing, it feels like boring in comparison, doesn't it, when you're not actually running?
100%. Like, I couldn't just go and watch all the time.
No.
Yeah.
Is the physio like very similar then? The horses, like the dogs and the horses, is it all literally the same principle, or are there like big differences, or is it pretty much all the same?
It's the same principle, as in whenever you do physio for an animal, your main aspect is how can I reduce pain, discomfort, and then after it's getting them back to function, and then from there is how do I progress function to improve performance.
Yeah.
So it's the same aspects. There's maybe some different ways of going about it. But
did you say you're a human physio as well?
So I'm a sports therapist.
Oh, okay.
So I basically did the musculoskeletal aspect of physio.
Oh, okay. Did you do that before the vet physio or after?
Before, so I did that as an undergraduate, and then I'm doing the postgraduate.
Did you kind of want to do the humans and then change your mind and want to do the animals, or was it just an extra?
I knew I always wanted to go on to do the animals, because that's going to be like my main aspect, I think. But for people, I just wanted to be able to offer it as well. So I think a lot of the time with horses, like you have riders.
Yeah, true.
It's probably more so with horses, but you'll watch where a horse is having a problem, and it could be because the rider's got a problem, and a rider has influence on the horse. So I wanted that sort of aspect, but I do like sports massage and stuff for people. I had a stall up here at ACI. I've got one again this year for like handlers, because I just think like I take my dog well, I don't now because obviously I can do it myself, but I took my dog religiously every 4 to 6 weeks for physio. I'm there with like a really sore back, or I've fallen off a horse and I've got a really bad shoulder, and I never did anything about it. Yeah,
that's so true. We look after the dogs more than ourselves.
So I always look after the dog, and I just think people don't look after themselves. So I wanted to do it as well for an agility aspect, or agility handlers. Like,
well, I did a podcast with Kurt, and it was all about like handler fitness and stuff. But again, different topic. But I think people underestimate the handler aspect of it, definitely, and probably riders as well for horses.
Yeah, definitely. So like obviously, I haven't worked with Kurt, but I did actually in my first year of uni. I think with Kurt, but I was like, I'm not into the whole exercise thing yet. You'll have to wait. And then second year of uni, I was on it, but first year was not for me. Too much partying, I think.
Oh yeah, but got to do that though, haven't you?
So I think for a lot of people, like my grandma is, she's next door, so I won't say it too loud, but she's 67.
Okay.
And she still does agility. And you see so many people, like, you don't have to be mega fit, this, that, and the other to agility. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But it is a sport for us as well.
Yes,
like, obviously,
definitely.
you can, not everyone does it like that. You can stand in the middle, and it's insane, the people that do that.
Yeah.
I wish I had skills to teach my dog
so
that, because I'm quite lazy. But I just think for the people that treat it as a sport, and I'm not going to go into the whole controversial thing of the elites and the not.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. If you're running around, you're twisting, you're turning, you're doing front crosses, and you're sprinting to beat them for a blind, etc., you're still using your body.
Yeah. It's exactly the same, isn't it, as for dogs and, you know, humans. But so the next one, I think this person assumed that you have it as a business, but they put, do you have your own vet physio business or do you work for one? But you're still at uni, aren't you? So you don't
I'm still at uni till July,
Okay.
So I will be working for myself. I think most vet physios do.
Yeah.
I will have my own business, but I'm hoping to work alongside my local veterinary practice. They've got an orthopaedic specialist there that covers most of southern Lincolnshire. They're the hospital, so they are my vets that I use. So I'm hoping I have had some chats with them. I just need to go and finalise things, but hoping to work alongside them, not like under their name, but to be physio for that practice.
Yeah. So you finish in July, do you?
Pardon?
You finish your course in July?
Yeah, so I get my postgraduate diploma July, which means I'm qualified, I can go out and work, and then I'm staying on for an extra year just to do my masters for a dissertation and stuff.
Oh yes, that's it. How many years will it have been in total then, to get the
what, just
masters?
for vet physio?
Yeah, all of it.
So I did a 3-year undergraduate for my human, because obviously you have to do that before doing a postgraduate.
Yep.
And then I'm doing a 3-year postgraduate for vet physio. So I've done it part-time, obviously, so I can still work and stuff.
So 6 years then?
6 years.
And then you'll do another for the masters?
Well, no, it'll be 5 years to be qualified and 6 years for the MSc.
Long time.
Long. Can't wait to be out of education. I'm sick of writing science.
Is it a big workload then, like for the vet physio? I'm assuming it's a lot of like science-based sort of things.
Yeah. So obviously I did science at A-level, and then I would have done a lot of the science-based stuff for my undergraduate as well.
Yeah.
So it's principles of a muscle is no different in a dog than it is to a human.
This is very true.
So I at least have that to help me through, because I haven't had a break. I've just done it continuously. It's been
that's very true.
But the heavy workload.
Yeah, I did 3 years of uni and I was like, no, I'm done. Had enough.
So because I definitely knew I wanted to go and do vet physio, there was no way I didn't. And I was like, do I have a year out? Just work? Do I just chill
May
out?
as well just get it over with.
A year out, I'm never going to go back.
Yeah, that's what I thought,
just needed to plough through.
Yeah, definitely. So the very last question is, what is your biggest piece of advice for handlers to keep their agility dogs fit and well? So to summarise everything, what is the one main thing you think handlers should do to keep their dogs fit? If you had to choose one thing.
Choose one. Can I not have two?
Oh, go on then, have two.
I'll have two. I was like,
okay,
not just
two
one.
biggest bits of advice.
So, one is walk them.
Yes, absolutely.
Take them out on walks. Let them have natural exercise. Let them have sprinting with the pack, or if they're an only dog, that's fine. Take them out on walks. Let them have natural time. They'll be, nice and fit, jumping over the logs or through the grass, or getting the zoomies when they touch the sand or whatever.
Yes. Especially if it's a wet walk, zoomies, when it's raining.
Yeah.
Always happens.
My dog, dude, if he finds like bark, bits of bark, he just gets the zoomies.
Oh, bless him. That's so
I don't
strange.
know why. It's just
that's
always
weird.
bark.
Oh.
Yeah, every time there's bark, he just goes a bit mental. So that's one. Two, train regularly, in the sense of you need to keep them jump fit. So jump fitness is obviously separate. You can have a very fit dog, but it's that propulsion over jumps and stuff. So regular training, not too much training, but regular training. If you're going to give them 6 weeks off, make sure when you come back, you're increasing the jump heights gradually. You're getting them back into jump fitness. Don't just go and throw it back in, because my dog had 2.5 years off. She's still a very fit dog. Yeah. Very fit, but she's not jump fit.
Yes, there's a difference, isn't there? General fitness and agility fitness.
It's very different. Yeah. So, take them out on walks, that you can keep a lot of fitness with that, but also don't forget training regularly. I mean, it can be once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Or some jump stuff.
Yeah. Cool. So just quickly, again, a bit of a tangent, but walks. You said about taking them on walks. So if it's chucking it down and really slippery on the grass, do you still take them for their off-lead walks and let them run about? Or would you just do a lead walk if it's really wet? Stuff like that.
So I think it's different for everyone. I've got 8 dogs that live in my house.
Oh, wow.
We don't take them out for a walk in that day. All hell's going to break loose.
Yeah, this is very true.
I've got if it's, like torrential rain, like it's horrible.
Yeah.
I've got a nice big paddock, and we'll just one of us, who draws the short straw of getting wet.
Yeah.
We'll walk down the paddock, like they're off the lead, just to give them like a mooch, a pee and a poo, just so that they think they've been out and they can come back in. I think a lot of the time with walking, it's that mental aspect as well.
Getting out the house, same as us, I suppose.
Yeah, if their one and only thing in life is going and doing agility, like that's not very nice for them. No. Like they have no let up. They've got no kind of like release and natural.
Yeah, that's work, isn't it? Not.
Yeah. So agility should be fun and should be work. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't be a normal dog.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So if it's just raining and it's wet, I'll still take my dogs out for a walk. Like if it's just normal rain or if it's wet on the floor, my dogs don't tend to tear around.
Okay.
Unless, I don't know, I tell them to or something. If I'm ready to go, like obviously they're all going to spring off. But otherwise, I can let them all off the lead and just have a little mooch along.
Yeah. See, for Arrow, if it's really rainy and slippery on the floor, I'll just take him on a lead. Like, he'll always get his walks, but I'll keep him on a lead because he does tear constantly. Like, he's just one of those dogs that is a very clumsy dog as well. Yeah. So I'm like, he's probably going to slip over and hurt himself. So when it's really wet, I just keep him on a lead usually and then let him off when it's, if it's a bit like dewy on the grass, I'll let him off. But if it's like proper raining and slippery, then I'll keep him on a lead just because that's the kind of dog he is. But other than that,
100%,
he's definitely...
So it's dog dependent. It's literally like, my 2 collies are complete opposites.
Yeah.
Time will walk next to me off the lead, but she'll try and pull on a lead, take her off, and she's glued to my leg.
Yeah.
If she gets a bee in her bonnet, she's off, and she's so clumsy. She will slide over, she'll fall over and do like roll over herself, and I'm just like,
that's
what
all
are you
right.
doing? So she's very much like she can stay on the lead until she calms down, and then she can go off for a mooch like at the end of the walk.
Yeah.
And like when all the others have come in, and she can then go off on her own.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's settled down quite a lot more now. But yeah, so I think it's very dog dependent. If you've got a dog that tears around like an idiot and it's all wet and really slippery, it's just being sensible.
Common sense, I suppose, isn't it? But yeah. And I suppose everything, even like physio, everything is dog dependent, isn't it? Like they're all so different. So it's about knowing your own dog, I suppose, and using common sense.
100%.
Well, that's it. That's all the questions. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you. I hope it wasn't too long.
So that was my conversation with Megan. Thank you to Megan for coming on the episode. That was a super helpful and interesting episode. I love everything to do with dog fitness and handler fitness. So that was a really cool conversation, and I hope you guys all learned as much as I did. So I guess I will see you all next Wednesday. But before I leave you, if you could follow me on all of the socials, I will leave them here on the screen on YouTube and down below in the description on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That's the one. And if you could leave a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, that would mean the absolute world to me. And then you will never miss another episode if you follow along. So I'm active on all those socials every single day and do an episode on this podcast at 8 p.m. every Wednesday. So I'll see you this time next week. Bye, guys.